Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Big Screen Show. My name is Victor,
I'm Wyatt.
and we're back bringing you guys another movie review. Little update for the channel for the foreseeable future, roughly give or take 6 months. Our boy and beloved Alex will not be with us. Sadly, he is off on work to the other side of the country doing some work stuff. Therefore, he will not be with us. He might join here and there, but for now, let's say we are not counting on him to be here on a daily when it comes to these videos. But Wyatt and I will be here, and we'll be bringing you guys content on any and everything that's coming out, and that'll be hot, especially since we have a pretty packed next 6 months when it comes to movies. And what better way to start off our debut of just taking this on, just you and I, than A24's next big movie, right? Civil
Civil War,
War.
man. Yeah,
Yeah,
we were hyped for this one. We even talked about this in
very
some
hype.
past videos the last
Yeah.
couple weeks, how hyped we were
Mm-hmm.
for this one.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great movie, an amazing movie. Do you want to get into general thoughts just right away
Yeah.
here?
General thoughts. Go for it. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead. You're already going.
my general thoughts coming out of the movie, I got to be honest, I thought the trailer was very misleading about the movie. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And I've seen some comments online that other people thought the trailer was a little misleading. Also,
Okay.
but the story in general, I love the story. There were some unrealistic points and some actually unrealistic big details in the movie. I was gonna give it an 8, leaving the theater, but in conversation and in thought on the way home, just some unrealistic moments, some unrealistic scenes, and just some. It wouldn't have went down like that in real life. It kind of took me out of it, and I brought it down to a 7. I do want to go see it a second time
Yeah.
because it's right there
Definitely.
in between a 7 and an 8 for me.
Sure.
And I took it down because the conversations that I had after the movie. But I want to go watch those scenes again, and I want to go watch the movie again to give it a proper rating. So it's right in between a 7 and an 8 for me. Those details really brought it down a little bit. What about you, Victor?
Man. Well, like you stated, this was outside of Dune, my most anticipated movie of the first 6 months of the year, no doubt. I was so hyped for it. It just seemed like A24's entry to we're doing bigger things,
Mm-hmm.
because they have a general vibe to them of like, we're big now, but we are still giving you indie vibes. And this was just the first one where it really felt like, no, we're giving you like blockbuster vibe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
was so here for it, especially filmed in IMAX. Go see it in IMAX. You don't hear A24 movies be advertised this way. So I was excited for it. You know, we love a good premium theater experience when it comes to movies, whether it's IMAX, Dolby, whatever it is. So I was really hyped. And going into it, I really threw everything because as I usually do with A24, I just let them take me there, and I don't go in with like preconceived ideas or thoughts, or maybe ideas. Um, but I have to go back and watch the trailer to really, because I actually kind of don't remember it that well, because I watched it like when it first came out, and then I never really watched it again, and I want to.
Well, some of the trailers and promos they were coming out with, it made it sound like the storyline was going to be about the actual Civil War, and they were going to go into more details about the
Oh well,
conflict
yes,
going on, blase,
I will
blase.
say. I
And they
will
did put out a lot of
say
promos, like promos with the maps laid
with
out
the
and stuff like
maps. Yeah,
that.
I
And
was
I'm
just
like,
about to say.
they didn't even go into
Sure,
very good detail about any of this.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So it
Yeah,
was a
and we
little
can.
misleading. I felt
And
like A24 knew what they were doing with the advertisement and
yeah,
with this. I don't want to call maybe a misrepresentation of what the movie was going to be about, and it was good. It got people to the theaters. This is going to do great with numbers, and they're going to make a lot of money off this.
sure,
It is a blockbuster hit, like you said, and I think they knew what they were doing with that.
sure.
But it doesn't take away. It is still a good story.
Yeah,
I did still
yeah.
enjoy the movie. Yeah.
You know what? That's actually fair, and we can get into what makes it actually misleading in the spoiler territory. But I will actually agree with you, because now that you kind of reminded me, you freshed me up a little bit. You're kind of right, because going into it, I guess I was like I said, I try to have no expectations, but I thought it might go a certain direction based off what we've seen, especially the maps and everything. Like you said, they released a lot of marketing content that definitely led us in that direction mentally, at least. And then maybe within the first, say, 10-15 minutes, maybe even 20, I kind of had to like
Oh,
reposition
this is
myself
not what
and
the
the
story is
lens
going to be
of,
about. Yeah.
yeah, sure, and we'll get into what makes us do that in the spoiler territory. But once I did readjust, I was there for the ride and I was with it and I was loving every single second of it. I will say I did not expect this movie to be so intense at times. Like literally, like, I mean, look, I want to let everybody know out there, I love a movie that just has me like holding on to my seat, at the edge of my seat, can't stand still, like that. I love that so much. And this movie had that. Um you guys know I'm a huge cinematography fan. The cinematography, as we all know, is some of the best in the industry from A24, and it definitely is here and present for sure. I want to point out the edit. Whoever the guy who edited is, he snapped this. I think, in my personal opinion, is the best editing ever done in an A24 movie, and that says a lot because their edits are usually really, really, really nice. But the edit here was like super, super creative and just super dope. I really, really enjoyed it. But overall, this movie was super solid. Kirsten's Dunst, like first time seeing her in God knows how long, I think she killed it and played her role to perfection. Um, but you know, this movie, at least for me, I hear some people having different opinions, but for me, I enjoyed every single second of it, and I would have watched it again right after it ended. And you're right, I need to see it again, both for just kind of assessing things a second time and just for fun because I want to see it again because I loved it so much. But my rating is going to be a 9. I gave this movie a 9 out of 10. I was in between 9 and 10 for a big while, and I think it's just truly a 9. It might be a 10. I need to go watch it again, but
Yeah,
it's
you
definitely
were
like,
saying 10 coming out the theater, man.
I did say 10. Like I said,
And I
I
thought
was
that was
very.
crazy. I thought that was wild. It
It
was a
it
10.
might be. It might be a 10. I need to go watch it again. It really might be a 10. I can't find any flaws in it really, and I need to just go watch it again to really analyze. But I just because we always have that first viewing experience excitement vibe, so I
Oh, yeah.
try to like keep myself reserved and then maybe take a second look at something. But I'll give it a 9. Solid 9. Like I don't think it's anything lower than 9. I personally think 8 is like the lowest acceptable thing. I'm like, if you give it less than an 8, I'm like, you're tripping. So I hope you see it again and you change your mind, bring
And
it
it
up
might
to
be
an
and
8.
it might be an 8. It might be an 8.
Yeah. Like
But
so
I
I feel
gotta
like
go
we
see it
had
again.
I feel like we had a similar situation when deciding our ratings. Like you're like, it might be a 7, it might be an 8. I was like, it might be a 9, it might be a 10. But regardless, I clearly, I guess, enjoyed it or liked it a little bit more than you, and that's okay. But we both agree it's a super solid movie. And to wrap up the general thoughts, if you haven't seen this movie, literally turn off this video and go buy a ticket and go watch it because
Yeah.
it's a must watch, no doubt about it. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. We're gonna get into spoiler territory now, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, we advise you to click off unless you just want the entire movie spoiled or at least key parts. Thank you guys so much for watching. We try to bring you guys videos at least once a week, so make sure to like and subscribe to keep joining us on this journey. We really, really appreciate you guys. But with that being said, spoiler territory now. Wyatt, I want to talk about. Okay, so right, the misleading aspect of it is obviously that it's not actually focusing on like, hey, this incident happened, and now there are two sides of this country and or more, as the map showed, and this is the actual conflict. Rather than now, it's like we're really just following these journalists on a journey and just watching what their day-to-day lives look like with amidst a civil war inside the United States, right?
and I like that. I like that at first. I was
Yeah,
like, okay,
I think it's
okay.
intriguing.
I see what point they're going
Hmm.
for now. They're going to
Right,
follow the journey of the press that's
right.
caught in the middle. both sides of the Civil War.
Right.
And I thought that was an interesting angle to go at it rather than covering the whole Civil War, because I took a look at the runtime. Runtime was a little short.
Short.
And
Yeah,
and I
short.
was like, man,
Hour and 50.
I was like, it's going
Hour
to be hard to
49,
cover a whole
including
Civil War.
credits.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to cover a whole Civil War movie in that
Facts.
runtime. So I was like,
Sure.
what type of story are they going to tell of this Civil War? And they went with the press. The
How do you feel about that? Do you like that? Or do you not like that?
yeah, I liked it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I had
All right.
no problem with it at all. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I
You
like
just
the
had
angle.
to.
I like the angle they went with.
You just had to take a moment to kind of like readjust your way of viewing it because of, like you said, the misleading factor of it all.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say I had to do the same thing. Like, it opens up in a very, very, very A24 way, and we're not gonna recap the movie at this point. If we're talking about it, you should have seen the movie, so let's have a conversation about it. But it opens up in a very A24 way, silence. Then you have the president, and it's a very artistic
The
angle right there.
silent scene, bro. That's kind of how they brought the indie wave to the mainstream theater. Because
Oh, it
really,
still has that. Yeah,
yeah,
100% has that indie
mainstream
vibe.
movies don't really do like a silence that long. Like it was
Yeah.
kind of in the theater, I felt like it was a little bit of almost an awkward silence. I
Yeah.
personally love that
Oh, I love
because
that.
even
Yeah.
because we're DJs and I love like quiet,
It's just
very
sound design.
awkward moments when I'm throwing a set or I'm playing live music or something like that.
Okay.
And
All right. All right.
it was the same for this, where it was just a silence and
No, it's
kind of like
incredible.
even brought our attention to the
No,
movie even
definitely.
more.
Especially
Yeah.
at a movie theater, you expect
Like
audio to be on at all times, and then
nobody was eating their popcorn. Everybody.
yeah. Well,
You
was
could
your
hear every crunch.
yeah? Well, a good representation of it as well is Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. When the bomb blew up, you expect this like loud boom, but he cut that out. Zero
Yeah.
sound. And then obviously a few seconds later, the bomb actually hit to represent the distance away that they were from the bomb, because obviously sound travel. Anyways, but that's just another instance, and I love that. I live for that. Those silent moments. Yeah, I want to say the sound design in this movie was incredible. I actually, speaking of the sound design, when they shot weapons, obviously those aren't real guns that are being shot in that moment that they're being filmed. So they use like pre-recorded audio, and they chose the most realistic, I think. I mean, I've never shot a gun or held one before or heard what it sounds like in real life, but it seems like to me a really realistic, powerful pop. Like every time, for example, the I'm from Hong Kong scene where he like killed the first Asian guy, that was like unexpected and got everybody razzled. I didn't expect him to pull the trigger right there, and I literally like I jumped out of my seat. I literally like jumped because it was like such a real sound that just felt powerful, very impact right there.
With that scene they hit on that scene,
Oh, that
and
scene was incredible.
they hit on
That
a
scene's my favorite scene. I just want to say.
they hit on a couple of more scenes. One is taken down. We'll talk about that in a second. But they really hit on that scene. We can go ahead and talk about that now. The man, it really did have you on the edge of your seat for
Yeah,
that scene,
I,
because they
I want
pulled
to
up
ask
and they're
you.
like, "Do we even approach these people? They have our friends hostage. We
Yeah,
have no guns or anything." I was
yeah.
kind of with the big guy. I was like,
Let's get out of
bruh,
here.
we're probably gonna die in this situation if we're
Right,
just walking up to these people. Like
right.
maybe if we had a gun, I could just shoot both of them right there, and it would have been OV, and
Yeah,
we could have
right.
just walked up and saved our friends.
Yeah,
But
they didn't have a
with
gun.
they didn't have any weapons,
Yeah,
which I thought was crazy. But again, they are press, and I know press and
press. Yeah,
they don't carry weapons like that.
yeah,
So that going up to them was crazy, but they did it for their homies, and it had
for
you
the
on the edge
girl,
of the
really.
seat because the dude was kind of chaotic. These were some backcountry dudes. They didn't care what side you were on. They were
They
kind of
definitely had a little nut loose for sure.
oh yeah, they were. I don't know.
They were out there.
They had a hunger. They got a hunger for killing. I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah,
man. Yeah.
yeah. Definitely,
I
definitely.
guess that's how we could explain it. They had a hunger for killing. and they were doing a lot of it as they were dumping bodies into a mass grave. So
And that
man,
and that has such a dope shot when the girl fell in the huge grave of dead bodies, and it was just an over the top shot, and you just see all the dead bodies like in a row, and her like crawling her way like that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it has some this movie has some really dope shots, man. That's
and
some really dope
it
shots.
was really interesting when everybody was saying where they were from.
Right? Yeah. No,
Yeah, yeah.
that's sheesh, brother.
And
You could say
why
anything.
couldn't the dudes just said Florida?
Like anything. No, he could have said like Maine, like literally anywhere. And
Anything, bro.
but I've been in situations like that before where the reality of the moment and situation that you're in is overbearing in a nervous or anxious way, to where a lie doesn't even if you wanted to or tried to lie, it doesn't even you don't have the mental capacity for it. So all you can spit out is the easiest thing that comes to you, which is the truth. And so,
Man.
man,
And you gotta
you
have some
just
composure. You gotta have some composure in some moments like that, or
man,
as we see, it'll get you killed.
literally, yeah. Which
Yeah.
is shout out. Hold on, I have his name right here. Shout out Joel, because he was basically taking lead in that whole situation, and I commend him for that, because that's a very sticky and intense situation to take control in. So like, man, and he was trying to be friendly. He was like, "All right, guys, hey, how you doing? We're the press. We're passing through town. Like,
hmm
we're just trying to
hmm
grab our colleagues and get the f out of here." Like, but
They was not buying that.
yeah, they weren't with it,
Yeah,
and I
they
think it
weren't
was
with it.
hilarious. He had the little disco go-go heart-shaped shades on, like, while he's like killing people.
Okay, that was a vibe.
I
That
thought
was a
that was
vibe.
hilarious, bro. I thought that was
Yeah.
hilarious. But yeah, that scene personally for me is my favorite, just because of the intensity of it all, and also had some comedic factor if you think about it, because dude said like the whole like Hong Kong then gets killed. Like, come on, bro.
And
But
it really did have you on the edge of the seat. Even when dude pulled up with the
yeah,
car, you were like, get in the car, go, go,
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Definitely. Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
that scene was probably, honestly, the best scene of the movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was definitely my favorite scene in the movie. And just
I
like
really
so.
enjoyed the scene where they were car hopping. I like that one. That was a fun scene
Well,
on the road.
that was what led them to the scene we were just talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, but I did think that was nice, because, I, okay, that's basically what I was gonna ask you. Does this movie give you any vibes of, whether it's comparison, similarities, or whatever the case may be, of The Last of Us, in a way? Just like, instead of a virus, it's humans. But like, when they were driving on the highway and there's just all these cars there, and they had to like maneuver through at the beginning of the road trip. I don't know if you remember that. It just That's like literally, you could go watch The Last of Us, and there's like so many highways that look like that, for example, and like the whole like dystopian, like, kind of wasteland, like everything's empty vibe to it. I think really reminded me a lot of The Last of Us in a way, and I really like
It
that.
had like a Last of Us Walking Dead type vibe, just
Yeah,
post apocalyptic.
post up, yeah,
There's been a disaster,
yeah,
war
sure,
torn, just cars being left on the interstate. That
yeah.
was really cool scene. It
Oh,
reminds you of like a Walking Dead type vibe.
for sure, and the helicopter that crashed in front of the J.C. Penney's,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for example.
You
Yeah,
know, a lot
yeah,
of the
yeah.
scenes were filmed in Atlanta.
Oh yeah,
Did you notice
yeah.
any of the film work?
No, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know. I was
every
watching it.
movie now.
I noticed streets that I've driven down
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
as I was watching this movie. So that was a really cool aspect of it. And us living here in Atlanta might have heightened the movie just a little bit as we're just watching this movie and actually seeing the streets that we drive through when we go to the city. So
Sure, it used to do that for me, but now we're like in every movie, so like I kind of expect it moving forward now, unless it's like movies like The Northman and things like this, because those are obviously filmed in like
Yeah.
cold places in Europe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I expect it now. We're Hollywood. We're literally bigger than Hollywood. I don't know if you actually knew this, but this is a fact. We're bigger than Hollywood now.
We're not Hollywood.
We're
We're
bigger than
we're
Hollywood.
Yollywood.
You a
Really?
fool for that.
We're
I feel
Yollywood,
you.
bruh.
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you.
They should put a
Um,
Yollywood sign up. That should be fire.
but I want to ask you about Kirsten Dunst's performance. Old Miss Mary Jane from the beloved OG Spider-Mans. How would you assess her performance? I want to know. I think the role is very interesting. I'll tell you that.
It's a
She's like,
very interesting role, and how they
yeah,
played it and how they had her character. I guess what she's turned into, because she looks like she's turned into a very lonely person, a person that
sure,
hides in their shell after all that they've seen. And they've
sure.
been through a lot of trauma and they've seen a lot of things, and they're
That
kind of like,
bathtub scene was powerful.
yeah. So they're
Remember?
kind
Yeah,
of, yeah, they're kind of, they put premise around her character. If they didn't
sure,
put premise around her character and she was just like that, you could have maybe said her character was very dull. But
sure,
with the premise put around her, I thought she played a great role because we saw her even opening up as they had taken on this younger girl to come on this journey with them, and we even saw her opening up and even showing a little bit of mother figure type
sure.
attributes.
Definitely playing a yes, yes, mother
Yeah,
figure.
mother attributes. So
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the premise they put around her and like the story that they gave her opener up, I thought she played the character to a T almost. If you gave me a just a synopsis on what this character is and what this character has went through and what they're going to be and kind of
Hmm.
like their vibe and how they handle themselves,
Right.
she came in and played that role very, very well.
Yes, yes. I'm glad to hear you say that because I
Yeah.
fully agree. I was like very excited about the fact that she was gonna be in this movie because I hadn't seen her in something in so long. But I was also very weary, not weary. I say curious of what she was going to, because again, with the way it's advertised, going back to that point, you're thinking war movies, so like high octane all the time, and I'm like, Kirsten Dunst, like holding, you know what I mean, like, like I don't see it, and I thought that might be how it was gonna go, but it didn't. And now,
Hmm.
as you said, given what the character actually is, I mean, they just hit it they hit the nail on the head with the casting, really. And I also want to shout out Kaylee Spaney, who plays Jessie, the girl. She also was in another A24 movie prior, which is Priscilla, and she killed it in that too, I think personally. And she did it. She did a very good job in this movie as well, because I think it's also a very hard thing to do, to act in a way where you're literally petrified and terrified like that in some of these moments. And some of these moments get very, very tense. And I actually give this nod to all the actors because they were all in some very intense situations, and for them to have that, there was a very powerful moment where, for example, a Wagner Mora who plays Joel, he was like, after the scene we were just talking about with the like killers with the red glasses and all that, they finally got back to Charlottesville at the base, and it was no sound. Again, the sound design, right? It was just a shot of him with the army base behind him. The audio was just showing like airplanes moving and war tanks moving and stuff like that, but the shot is actually him like screaming, just like like literally. And I just think shots like that are like really, really powerful because it's showing you the intensity and the weight of everything that's going on, and that it actually affects the characters that you're watching live through it. And I really, really like that.
Brad, but just imagine what he's going through. He just lost his friend.
I know.
He just lost a colleague. I
Yeah,
mean,
100%.
that'd be similar
Technically,
to,
two colleagues, because
yeah.
dude in the car died, but then he just lost three. Actually, the two Asian dudes got shot as well, and those were his buddies. So yeah,
that'd be like us going up there as like podcasters, us going up there as press and like you getting shot, bro. Like
I know, brother.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it would be
I'm
painful.
losing
Like
my
that shit would be crazy.
yeah, I'm
Like
losing my
what?
shit. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to lose 3 people too. Uh
In like the span
man,
of like maybe 2 or 3 hours,
man, and
give or
just
take.
chaotic day and just like finally the adrenaline going down and finally being
Yeah.
safe in an area and just being able to fucking smoke a cigarette and just get it all out.
And it all
Like
hits you. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
Because
it's
you're
just
still
all
kind of
coming
in like fight or flight
fight or
mode.
flight mode, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Sure, sure.
you finally get to degress. You're smoking a cig and everything is hitting you, man. That
Yeah,
is
yeah. It
eh,
just
that's wild.
boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was a really good
100%.
scene too.
But I know you want to talk about the, I guess, final. I wouldn't say final scene, but I guess the final sequence where everything really comes down
The
to
ending, the
an
assault.
end. Yes. Side note: we did just talk about Dunst's character. I find it interesting that at the beginning of that whole final sequence, she's kind of like breaking down. Like she's breaking down. She's not okay. She literally has to be dragged by the
Man, it's
military people and her press colleagues everywhere they're going because she's like out of it. She's having existential crisis and she's kind of like not okay. While on the opposite side of this,
man, you know what I
the
felt?
girl, sure, what?
You know what I
What
felt in
did
this
you feel?
situation as she was going through that?
Mm-hmm.
After the deaths that she had just witnessed
Uh-huh.
and the death
Right.
of her friend, the big guy that was rolling with them,
Sure.
I felt like she was done. Like that was gonna be her last shoot
Yeah.
type vibe.
100%. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
felt
I fully
she
agree.
gave off that type of vibe, and I really commend her for giving that off without even saying it.
Oh yeah.
Because I felt going into that like this is gonna be her last shoot type
100%.
type deal as she was showing the emotion and just I just kind of didn't want to go
Yeah,
until
it was giving the like it was a very, at least for me, clearly for you as well, hopefully for everybody else who watched it as well, it was giving a very loud I'm so done with this shit. It was giving that.
yeah,
Like I'm just
yeah,
done with this shit.
exactly.
Yeah, cuz
Until
she's been doing it for so long.
she sees her moment. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
as a photographer and videographer, that's what I do. I have a company called Private Productions that I do videography and photography on the side. When you see that moment, you just have to go. You just kind of have to go for it. Like
Mhm.
I've seen that moment with crowds. I've seen that moments in those kind of moments in weddings where you just like see the moment and you're just like, go, I got to film this.
Sure.
And she sees that moment as they came out and they threw the dummy vehicle, the dummy convoy, acting
Right.
like the president
Where
was
the
leaving.
entire
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And she was like, "Oh, he's still in there."
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
she dips in, and they're the first people in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All the while during this, I want to point out, um, Jessie, the younger girl, is while Kirsten's character is having a kind of meltdown and finally wakes up in that moment that you're talking about. On the other side, Jesse, who's the younger, new, less experienced journalist, is being very aggressive and being very out there, and I think it's the most like aggressive and fearless we've seen her up to this point in the movie. So I
Oh,
just want
she's
to
in her
make that
zone.
point. Yeah, she's definitely in a zone right now. She's like locked in, but continue. Yes. So there's
No,
like
she's
what I'm saying is that it's like very opposite dynamics going on for both of them right now
hmm
in
and
this part.
she sees her moment, and they're able to go into the
White
White
House.
House,
Oh yeah.
and they're able to document the assault on the White House. I'll go through the assault kind of, and then I'll go through my kind of like major points on this. Pretty much like a team of like 5 or 6 people assault the White House and take down I don't know how
Secret
many
Service.
exactly Secret Service members there were, but they took down maybe like 6 to 10 Secret Service members, maybe a couple more, maybe 15 at
I'd cap
most.
it at 10 personally.
Yeah, maybe like 10 Secret Service members.
Yeah.
And they're able to find the president in the um
It looked like the Oval Office. It would make no sense for the Oval Office to be two
based on
floors
the route
below,
based
but
on the route they took. Yeah, it
yeah,
doesn't make sense the Oval Office would be there. It did look like an Oval Office. It might have just been like an Oval Office film room they might have. I don't know what's under the White House, to be honest. But I do know that there are more defense systems in the White House than that. That a
sure.
six people going and infiltrating the White House where the president is being held. Like, I know for sure there's a bunker in the warehouse that's pretty much almost impenetrable. Like, it would take hours, it would take days for somebody to be able to get into this bunker. I thought the assault on the White House was very mediocre. They how they did it and how they filmed it was great. How they did it from the perspective of the press and how they were taking pictures of what was going down. I really loved it, but they needed to make the assault on the White House more realistic because it was kind of a botch on that scene. If I can just be honest, a crew of 6, and these people looked like they were straight out of basic training. These guys did not look like any special ops or anything like that. The woman that killed the president, it looked like she worked at a grocery store.
Mm-mm.
Do you agree, bro? Like, it looked like she was straight out of basic training, and this woman just took on the president, just assaulted the White House like that, bro. Come on. So that really took me out of it. And even we could point out some scenes when they were assaulting the White House outside that were unrealistic, but I didn't have a huge problem with them just at the fence and knocking down the barricade. That wasn't too unrealistic. But the infiltration of the actual White House, and because it sounded like kind of like the president had at least like a maybe a plan to get out of there or whatever, especially when they sent the decoy. I'm like, okay, they're gonna try to get out of they're gonna try to get out of here some other way. They have a different plan, and like this is gonna lead to something different. But that didn't end up being the route that would have happened. Man, there has to be another escape route for the president. Like this assault has been going on for how long, and y'all didn't plan for this?
Mm. I
Just
Go ahead.
takes me out of it. Takes me out of it a little bit going through the last scene there. Then that's
Uh-huh.
just me being honest. I know a lot of other people on the reviews have been making a couple comments about the last scene, the White House
Right.
infiltration also.
Okay. Well, my thoughts on that is
A little bit of a rant there, but
I don't. Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. I wanted to let you touch on the matter. I know that was probably your one, one of your biggest like X factors on the negative side of the film. So I
yeah,
wanted
most
to let
definitely,
you
yeah.
get that out of there, get that out. But I'll respond by saying, I guess like, sure, yes, those things are true. There's definitely a bunker. There's more defense systems. Like getting to the president of the United States of America, it would be a much more difficult task than showed in this film. However, I don't know how to I don't know how to say it. I just I don't really care. It's because I want to say I don't care because I was so focused on the different angle of it all. Like I wasn't really focused on the war main objective of the war, which I assume, again, we didn't get much info on the war, but I assume the president dies, the war ends potentially. I don't know, right? I don't know, we didn't get any info. So but
Yeah.
let's go down that mentality. Clearly the WF's goal was to kill the president. That's like their biggest goal as a war group.
Hmm.
So that's cool, but I was more so like locked in on like these members of the press because I'm a person who loves to like just fall in love with characters, and I was already like so emotionally attached to these characters after going through the entire journey of getting to this point that I just was like so more intrigued on like what they had going on, and especially with the sad bit of it right there where the older reporter Dunst's character dies, and I looked at that as like a passing of the torch from her to Jessie, the little girl, and I thought that was really powerful, especially with the call, or it's like kind of like a callback in a way, because if you remember earlier in the movie, Dunst asks Jessie, or yeah, Jessie asked Dunst, sorry, she's like, if they would have killed me right there, would you have taken my picture? And I thought that was really powerful because now at the end of the movie, she gets killed and Jesse did take her picture. And
Yeah,
those
yeah.
pictures were really powerful, by the way. Those pictures were crazy. And I
No,
was
that
really
that
just
that end
focusing on
scene
all
hit.
that.
That was an amazing ending scene where she died and she was right there to take her picture, and
Yeah.
she saved her
You
life.
see the
She saved her
moment.
life at the same time. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. And you in those pictures, you literally see the moment where like the life leaves her body. And
yeah.
I thought that I was like, wow, that's like crazy. Yeah.
And it was the passing of the torch because obviously she's going to be one of the most famous photographers ever as she just photographed the
The death
infiltration
of,
and the
yeah,
death of the president in
right.
this war. Like
Yeah,
she's going to be at the top, just like this reporter that we followed
right.
is at the top. So it was
100%.
truly a passing of the torch, not in a way that, oh, just I'm passing the torch, you're now a photographer. No, you're one
Yeah, yeah.
of a renowned
Yeah, yeah.
photographer, just
You're
like I
elite
was
now,
now.
officially. Right,
So
right. So
I
I guess
enjoyed I enjoyed that moment of it, and that's why I had it was an 8 leaving the theater. That's why it was
mhm.
an 8, and then going home, I was thinking about it, and I was like, "Dang, some of those things couldn't have happened. Like, how did those 6 people infiltrate the White House like that? Like, that's not realistic. That's not gonna happen."
um
And that's why I
uh,
took it down to a 7, and that's why it's between a 7 and an 8 right now.
so like, and so to finalize my point on that is I was really just really locked in on that basically versus like the realism of the entire like infiltration of it all, because at the same time all of this is make believe, and if we also like look at movies like John Wick as like, you know what I mean, it's like people
Oh,
are
this
going
isn't a
down.
this isn't a John Wick type movie. The deaths
I
mean a
know
lot. The
that.
deaths mean a lot more than John Wick. John Wick,
I
150
know that.
people die. The deaths in this meant a
150
lot.
per
Like
minute.
we were on the edge of our seat for the deaths in this movie.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess what I mean by that. I'm not comparing them, by the way. I know they're completely different. I guess what I meant by that is that when I'm in like some of these movies that are, I guess nonfiction, I don't really, uh, I don't know, because I don't want to say, because okay, realism does matter to a degree, but I guess I won't like. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not gonna like fault this movie hard enough to where it even just loses a point just because I guess of that. Like, it's not. It's especially because, to be honest, it's irrelevant to the movie. I think like it's, if they would have explained the war, what's going on, and what the killing of the president means for the war, and like that whole side of it all, then sure, that actually has a lot, that holds a lot of weight. But as far as like what the story actually gives us, I think it's actually just a journey of the press and these journalists, and the moment of the president dying is only relevant for, actually, as far as as far as I'm concerned, showing us that Jesse is here to capture this moment and nothing more, not the actual fact of.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
I
again,
mean,
we got to look through it through the journalist perspective, not really through like the war perspective. And I kind of like that personally. I don't know, because I thought it was I think it's different. But I won't fault. I will say this: I won't fault someone that feels the way you do, because
okay,
I
cool.
get it. I won't
Yeah,
do that. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I do. I'm just saying I don't see it in the same way, but I can't fault anybody that does see it that way, because sure, it's true. Of course, there's like there's like probably like a bunker the size of the entire like grounds down there, and like it's probably, you could probably drop a nuke on it and be fine. Like, yeah, I
yeah.
agree. Sure. But also for sake of film, like That'd be kind of difficult.
Man,
You know?
so they could have played it a little differently. They could have had it where
Have you
the
seen Olympus Has Fallen? Sorry to cut you off, but have you seen that movie?
yeah, I've seen it.
Like something like that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that took days to
Mm-hmm.
breach.
Yeah,
So like
exactly,
so
exactly.
like I get it. I get it. I do. Trust me. Yeah, for
So
sure.
they could have pivoted the plot just a little bit. They could have had maybe the president leave the bunker and try to escape somehow, and they intercept him escaping or
Oh yeah,
something
you
like
did
that.
mention that off
Yeah,
camera
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. For
That
sure.
that that could have made him a little more realistic, and
Sure.
could have maybe extended the movie 5-10 minutes. But I don't know what goes into production and the cost of all this stuff. I don't have a background on that, so I think it could have been. I could think they could have pivoted a little different way to keep the budget the same place without having to cast hundreds of people to infiltrate this place or big explosions or some crazy stuff. I
Hmm.
think they could have pivoted just slightly to make it just a little more realistic that the president gets caught up and dies.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, you know, I'm excited to hear what you think after you give it a second watch. I'm excited to see how I look at this movie after I give it the second watch. I'm definitely gonna do it though because I mean,
Yeah,
regardless, I
I'll
think
probably go sometime this week.
it's just a solid movie, straight up. No ifs, ands, or buts. I just think it's solid. Whether you think it's a little bit stronger or weaker is that's a different story. But I would really be confused if someone like went and saw it and was like, "That is a bad movie." Like
Yeah,
because I don't
it's a
think
good movie.
it's not a bad movie, you know.
Yeah, it's a good
So
movie.
yeah, definitely. But
Go see this movie.
do you have any other thoughts? Any final thoughts?
No, I think that's it, man. I think we kind of covered everything. I mean, if we really wanted to get into it, we could probably get into a couple more scenes, but as general thoughts and my
No, yeah.
big points go, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's it, dude.
Yeah. This is this is just overall a solid movie. We both think I'll recommend it to people for sure. And
Yeah,
it's
definitely recommend this movie. Go see it.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely go
run this
see
up.
it. 2 thumbs up from us over here. If you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. Even though if you're watching us right now, you probably shouldn't be because we just spoiled everything. But
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for watching. We try to bring you guys videos at least once a week, sometimes more. It'll be Wyatt and I moving forward for the next 6 months. So get ready. We're bringing content. We're bringing videos out. Lots of stuff coming out in the theaters. Lots of stuff coming out to the streaming platforms. And we're here to talk about it with you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. If you enjoy the content, we really, 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 really do appreciate it. And once again, this is a big screen show. We'll see you guys soon. Peace out.
Bye, guys.